This is the A to Z podcast. This is unscripted, uncensored sports talk. If you're new here, one guy covers the Indians. One guy could hit fifth for the Indians. Good morning, Andre.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm good.
So you've been going to the batting cages, huh?
Well, I saw Jarvis Landry was having a celebrity softball game, and it reminded me a few years ago when I played in Joe Hayden. So I was thinking, I have not been to the batting cages, but I was thinking about coming out of retirement.
That's the same game that Rod Lyman tried to play third base left-handed and couldn't get it to second, right?
Well, yeah, like this is the rule, Dre, for any non-organized sport. This goes for some of you guys that still think you're heroes or want to post your softball stats or whatever. Like
playing softball wearing baseball pants.
It goes for golf too. Like if you think you're good and you spend all this time and money on it, right, and you're probably not. Like the goal is not to win or be the best because there's nothing at stake. It's just don't be the worst, right? And so when I got to that thing, I was like, this is a cool honor. This is cool to be on the field and interact with some of these people, a lot of whom I knew, some of I didn't. And I'm like, so at first I was like, well, I'm just not actually going to play. Like I'm going to run out there for starting lineups. Otherwise, I'm going to sit in the dugout. It's just cool, you know? And then when I saw Raj, I was like, well, I'm not going to be the worst. So now I've succeeded. And so I might as well play. And like my first at bat, I don't think nervous is the right word, but it's just like don't strike out. Don't make a total ass of yourself, right?
There's some nerves to that. Yeah,
so I took the first pitch because that's what you're supposed to do. And then the next one, I'm like, this is decent. I'm going to swing. And it was not athletic. It was not major league quality. So you can recognize the swing. But I put it in play. Guy actually made a decent play, and they threw me out, which was fine. I didn't have to run the bases. So I got up one more time. And I'm like, okay, I'm not the worst player here. I'm in the game. I played a couple innings in the field, even though I had my phone in my mitt and I was tweeting from right field. And the very first pitch, it was a good pitch, and I swung with all my might, which isn't much, and I hit a single up the middle and then ended up having to run the bases and score. Didn't trip, got heckled, whatever. And so I thought it was a rousing success. I got 2 articles out of it. I broke a little sweat. I had fun. I tweeted from right field, and all was well in the world.
Will Juice Landry have you here this year to bless him?
I kind of doubt it, and that's fine. I last time I accepted, and it was many years ago. When I got there, they only had an XL T-shirt, and I squeezed in it at this time, and I'm not sure that would even be an option. So, for other reasons, I probably would respectfully decline, but I don't even know, I don't know because I don't expect that invite to come, but I do think Jarvis is a good guy. I know this shit's run as a business, it is what it is. And I got a chuckle out of seeing it make its way around the Twitter sphere because like I said, it brings up a good memory of being able to do that. I don't know how many people have ever tweeted from right field during a softball game. I know the White Sox guy could have done it last night, but whoever their right fielder is these days, Harold Baines or something like that. But
Harold Baines is going to the Hall of Fame. That's amazing.
It is.
If you would show up to the Jarvis Landry softball game in a kilt, I'm sure they would get you on the field somehow.
I don't know what the Met Gala is. I'm pretty sure I'll never be invited. Here's. I'm glad you brought that up, and let's just get it out of the way.
Get it out of the way.
I really don't care what anyone wears, right? Or how anyone rocks their hair or their shirt or their style. Like, that's fine. I'm too old. When I was younger, I might have cared. I still roll my eyes at white guys that wear pink because there's 2 things that white guys really shouldn't pull off: pink shirts and chin strap beards. It just looks awful. But again, I'm nobody's dad. I'm certainly nobody's fashion police. At this time of year, I have a real struggle because I wear hoodies like for 7 to 8 months. Occasionally it gets too warm for a hoodie, so we got an awkward transition going on where we're not in full-fledged summer over here. So I need to get
long sleeve t-shirt. Go long sleeve t-shirt.
Yeah, I'm pretty light in that area, so I should probably do that. I should just get to the Under Armour outlet.
Yep.
But yeah, so Odell is Odell. This talk is just talk, and I'm not going to take a side in it. I understand why it's sports radio fodder, because sports radio is the lowest common denominator. I'm not sure, guys, that Freddie Kitchens is real thrilled about a guy who's been in the building for one day talking Super Bowl and Hall of Fame and all sorts of that. But good, bad, or indifferent, it's worth 0 points to the Browns in week 1 and week 16. It's worth 0 bit of team bonding through the summer and all that stuff as they build here. It's just headlines. I think it beats the alternative. Just 2 summers ago, you guys that get mad about this stuff one way or the other were getting mad because Brian Billick said you're going to go on 16. so in that way, it beats the alternative. And every year, about May 20th, which is, a week or so away, the optimism train gets rolling around here because OTAs and playing against nobody and nobody's make plays. And then it rolls again about August 3rd to August 17th. And then we'll see what happens. Last November and December, they finally won some football games. They won more in a 7-week period than they had won in 4 fucking years. So there is excitement. They added Odell Beckham. The team's getting better. A draft class from last year that appears to be really good gets a chance to be older, stronger, more comfortable. You have a football coach who's a real human being. It's exciting. I would not jump to a conclusion one way or the other. If Odell wants to wear skirts and declare Super Bowls, then he can do it. If he wants to wear shorts or shoulder pads and do the same thing, that's fine too. I just say it beats the alternative. And I don't say bring on week 1 because I don't want anybody wishing away my summer. But I say we'll all find out how this works out from September to December.
Well, 2 things. I'm still waiting for you on The Athletic to write a letter to yourself or write a letter to Odell. That was genius. Number 2.
Yeah, let's talk about that too.
Number 2. Everything that's happened with Odell so far, that's Odell. That's what you get. That's what you traded for. That's what you asked for. That's part of the deal. That goes along with hopefully 85 catches and 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns. I don't know if those numbers are too high or too low. I'm sure somebody just got mad when they heard this, and they're going to be tweeting me telling me I'm an idiot because they can only have 15 touchdowns. Whatever. That's nor here nor there. But when you bring in a talent when you ask yourself, we always go through this with free agency. And Phil Savage used to say this to us, and I know other scouts have said this to us. When you go into free agency and you're like, man, we really got a really good player, you always have to caution yourself to say, okay, if he's really this good, why is his other team letting him go? And I'm not saying that the trade was bad, but all of this is Odell. Whether it's not coming to OT, coming to mini camps, and I can't blame him. I don't know why so many guys do go to involuntary. I get why, because most guys don't have enough cachet to stay on the team and not show up.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah. If every guy had the cachet of Odell, and quarterbacks feel like they have to because of their role, most guys wouldn't go to involuntary workouts, right? They work out on their own. So I don't get caught up in that. I don't care too much about that. But I throw a little caution to the wind with someone that's so actively talking about what they're going to do when he's been in the facility as much as half the people listening to our podcast. He's probably done what everybody else has done. He's played a couple games of Madden, and they're like, oh, man, this shit looks great. There's a lot of work that has to be done before Mike Holmgren can print the playoff tickets for this December and January. A lot of work. And I just, when you say you want to be the Patriots, when you think about that, you have to say to yourself, would Tom Brady be doing this? Would Danny Amendola be doing this? I know he don't play for him no more, but the point is he still goes to the Met Gala with Tom Brady because he caught the passes and shut the fuck up. At some point, you have to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Everybody in this division and everybody in this country, everyone that ain't us, what's the comment from old Butterball, my favorite coach in the world? You don't wear brown and orange, you don't matter. Well, all those people that don't matter, they can't wait to see you fall. No, just remember that.
That's right. But you said it. What's on paper and what's on your Madden screen, it does look damn good, don't it, Dre?
No doubt.
Right.
No doubt.
Right. And in the standings, it's 0-0, like the Chargers are, like the Titans are, like the Cardinals are, like the Bengals are, like the Patriots are.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
This optimism train is sleek. It's modern. It's painted up good.
Yeah.
It runs through Pittsburgh on November 14th and December 1st. And when it gets through there and comes out still shiny and new, then we can talk about all the fucking Super Bowls you want. In the meantime, it's just talk, and it's really not worth arguing about.
No, nothing to argue about. But if you do a sports radio show, it gives you something to talk about a little bit, right? It gives you something to get going.
Yeah, well, look, in general, like, everybody's got to run and write, 5 clickbait headlines off. I mean, he said what he said. Yeah, I mean,
right.
He does. Cachet is a great word, okay? And Odell's is a little different, let's just be honest, because he is a star outside of football, right? But there's, unfortunately, there's lots of dudes that wear holes in their jeans and have goofy-looking hair. His cachet out of football came because he's done it on the field, right? This guy's produced. Any way you shape his numbers over full seasons, they work out to damn near 100 catches and double-digit touchdowns, right? He has gone to Pro Bowls and been All-Pro when he's played. He has made highlight reels. He has made catches that have won games, period. So he has that. So the Browns don't have a lot of guys, and certainly haven't, which is the root of this, that have that. They just haven't. They haven't stuck with it. They haven't drafted well. They have some guys that are starting to get there, okay? So they can say that. It can not matter because it never does. But once you back it up with some results, it starts to take shape. I just had a conversation a week ago about this very thing before any of these headlines or these pictures or whatever this came out. And I said, I got one Browns bet that I will make you to this person that I was talking about, someone who knows sports inside and out. I said, I will bet you right now that they beat either the Rams and or the Patriots. I said, and I will bet you also that they lose to the Bills or the Bengals, because that's life in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, that's,
good point.
That's just kind of where it is. From the angle that we're talking about this, people getting their panties in a bunch, for lack of a better term, at the second, like, buckle up, guys. It's only going to get worse, because at 1-0 or 3-1, people are going to be booking Miami. It's still going to be September. At 1-3, people will be jumping off the bridge. It'll still be September. Like, this league, what's made this league, sometimes you think it's this 360 a year PR machine, and it stars like Odell and like Tom Brady, and the fact that you do have to go through New England, you do have to go through Pittsburgh and Baltimore. But it's made on the parity and the competitiveness in how these guys get paid to win games for their organizations, and how in the history of it, there's been a few exceptions to that. Some of the exceptions just happen to be the team we're talking about right now in recent years. And so when you're a target, everything is new, right? And it's a new. When you play on Monday night for the second time in a damn decade, everything's new. How do you handle that? We'll see. If talking shit makes you better and pushes you to the next level when it does come time to train, to bond, to gel, to overcome this adversity, best thing Freddie's ever said, Jerry, last week, is he said, we don't know. He said, we ain't done shit, which was good, which was true.
We ain't done shit.
But when you get beyond that catches your ears because there's no cussing on regular TV and radio, it's that we'll find out about our team when we encounter some adversity, and we haven't done that yet. And part of that is they've had 2 practices, right? And those were in an optional mini camp, right? So of course they haven't had any adversity. They'll probably hit a little bit in August. It'll still be August. They'll almost certainly hit some between September 10th-ish and October 25th-ish. And then we'll see.
They're getting some in training. They're going to get them in training camp. First time somebody gets a sprained ankle or a pulled muscle growing. One of the guys that you're counting on is going to get one of those. That happens.
It's football. No doubt.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Let me ask you this, then we can move on to something else. Freddie. I like Freddie. I'm a Freddie fan. I want a sweatshirt. I'm pretty sure I could fit in it. On and on and on. It seems like from afar, I've been in that room, but it seems like he gets a little contentious at times, whether it be at the post-draft interviews or just some of these over the last couple of weeks, where he's talking about drawing the lines in the sand. I understand why he would feel that way. And there are people in that room that ask questions that I would draw a line in the sand with. But I'm the chubby guy that does the sideline for the baseball team that can't score right now, okay? So I draw lines against people that sit in the 8th row. I shouldn't do it, but I do it. I'm not getting paid to run a whole franchise. And I guess what I'm saying, do you think Freddie's in a good place of kind of setting the table of how he wants to run things? Or should he have some caution right now before they get to the point? Because I don't feel like the lines have truly been drawn. I get the PR staffs and everything forewarn coaches about who to pay attention to and who to steer clear of. But at the same time, don't you have to kind of set your own kind of pace with how you want to deal with certain people and go about that?
I think that's what he's trying to do, Dre.
Okay. I'm not there. That's why I'm asking.
I think Freddie is authentically Freddie. I think that's good, and it potentially could be bad for him in a few of these settings. But honestly, I think what he's tried to do is just say, hey, guys, like, I will sit here and talk to you about football because I've been fortunate now to have a few months with my staff together and a few weeks with having the players here, and we're trying to do this the right way. But when you want to talk about these big picture things, like, we are honestly living in the moment of this is our 7th week of being together, you know, and like all of that stuff is nice. And he's never done this before, and that's what that's what the Colin Cowherds, the people who are just trying to antagonize you guys and succeeding, are doing. And they're looking and saying, wow. But Freddie has been in the NFL for a long time. He's been on a staff that has been to the Super Bowl. He's been on staffs, multiple, where they've had real expectations and real players and real things. And what he'll tell you is that the journey has not even started. And that the defining moments are so far away that he doesn't want to get caught up. So what his presentation is or what the money quotes become, I don't think he's paid any attention to, but I think he's handled it the only way that he can, which is to say, guys, that's absurd. Like, we are honestly building the script for next Tuesday when we actually have a 90-minute practice.
Right. I hear you. I know how these go, and I don't want it to go that way. But I know what Berea can turn into, and especially with so much attention put that way. And I agree with you. I think Freddie's made for the job. I think he's going to make some mistakes. I think that's how life works. But I do worry about how the word comes out of Berea at certain times, because the word doesn't always come the way certain people want to write it. As no names will be dropped here, but it's someone that you know me and you listen to podcasts. You know I'm not a big fan of this person, but he came over to the Indians yesterday because Corey Kluber was going to talk about being hurt. And Romeo Cornell put me on this a long time ago from a coach's standpoint. That he said, certain people ask me questions, and I know their story's already written. They just want the quote. They're going to ask me a question to get the quote that fits their story. Meaning, a lot of times, some of these guys just write their stories. They're going to ask a question a certain way so they can get the money quote, and they're done with it, rather than actually going and finding out if what they think is true or not true. Someone did that yesterday. I asked Corey Kluber like the same 4 questions in 4 different ways. And it was obvious Corey Kluber was frustrated and was at wit's end. And Corey Kluber said to me right after, when I did an interview with him, he goes, you know, I wouldn't have had so much of a problem with him if I've ever met the guy before. He goes, this is the first time he comes to the door, and this is how he's gonna come at me. What the hell? And then the guy proceeded to do the same thing with Tito. And look, the Indians got no room right now to defend themselves as how they're playing. But there's a way about going to do our jobs, and sometimes with Kluber's a 2-time Cy Young Award winner. He don't care what anybody asks him. He's going to answer how he wants. Francona's a World Series winner, a Hall of Famer. There's not much that gets under his skin. He laughs at it. With Freddie, I worry about that early on because sometimes that snowballs, and if you're not built the right way, that takes over you worrying about practice Tuesday at 4 o'clock more than, you know what I mean, worried about, well, what the hell do I have to answer at 10 o'clock Tuesday morning? You don't want that to become a part of his job. It's a part of his job, but you don't want it to be the main focus. And it can if it's not with the right people.
Yeah, but if it becomes the main focus, you're probably not cut out for this job anyway.
Well, we've seen a lot of guys stand up there that weren't.
Well, that's true.
You act like it's happened before.
Well, listen, we've seen signs, right? I know what you're getting at, but
true.
We've talked majoring in the minor since we started this podcast.
Yeah.
Right? And there is a difference between handling the minor details and them not always going great, because that's life. Nothing ever really goes according to plan or 100% your way, even when you think everything is great in your life, right? And then there's a difference between that and majoring in the minor. So I think any coach that spends more than 15 minutes outside of his 15-minute press conference in anything is really worried. If it comes to that coach has every right to have a private discussion with the person that he considers a problem or growing a problem. And I think it gets brushed off. I think it's I understand Corey Kluber's, and you said a professional approach to it and a legitimate, not great, but a legitimate question, right? But I think in the whole scheme of how all this moves a day and a half from now, I don't think that it has anything to do with the Indians' world, Corey Kluber's world, anybody's world that they're processing, right? It's on to the next thing.
I was using that as an example. Yeah, I'm using that as an example, though, how certain people can come in. Well, you brought up Colin Cowherd. It's a perfect example. Like, at one point, does your quarterback have to keep going back at it? We know, like, I hate to use it.
No, he doesn't have to.
The line has been drawn in the sand.
Yeah.
Like, we know where you stand. Baker, we're behind you. We're with you. Colin Cowherd is what he is. It's what he does. And he has a thing for the Browns, obviously, right now. And he's going to have it until they win a playoff game. And he probably still will talk shit. So you're better off at some point ignoring him, right?
Agreed.
My opinion.
Agreed.
But so we'll see. I'm not saying it's going to ruin anything. Only thing I'm getting at is I want my first-year coach in this type of situation to block out as much of the outside stuff as he possibly can.
And you're perfectly right. But especially this, Dre, I mean, the Browns are 10 weeks from even reporting to camp and then 6 weeks from playing a game. Right now, this isn't the icing. This isn't the extra. This is the extra, right? This is all just out there. By rule, they have to open one OTA practice per week. That's exactly how many OTA practices per week they open. And just so you guys know, whether Odell shows or not, whether Duke Johnson shows or not, these are non-contact practices. They are voluntary. Every team is installing. Over the course of the 10 they're allowed every year, the Steelers cancel one and go bowling. The ones Ben does show up at, they have one where they take all their veterans and they tell them to go home. And it's only it's not a huge deal, okay? Whether Odell is there on Tuesday or Wednesday when the reporters are there or he's not there, hey, again, goes back to the top of the discussion. This is what you signed up for. This is what he does. Yep. In the bigger picture, it is still going to be the first half of May. Period.
Right.
Not worth a headline, let alone getting mad about one way or getting excited about. Oh, yeah, he showed up today. They tweeted out a picture of him catching a pass before practice. We're back, baby.
Well, there'll be a Twitter parade when that happens.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. Our man with the 21 guns will be leading it like he did a few years ago when Johnny threw for 191 yards in a game.
We might have to we might have to do a parade again.
Listen, mark my words. Let me add one more guarantee to the Browns season prediction. There will be some fucking parades on this podcast one way or the other.
Can't wait. Will the Cavs hire a new coach within the next month?
Let me ask you this. Should the Cavs even consider hiring a coach until they know the results of next Tuesday's lottery?
No, they should not.
Okay.
I think they should. To be honest with you, until they really want to win, they shouldn't hire a coach. They should just let Dan do it. He don't got to show up every game. He can it can be a part of a ticket giveaway. Not only can you have Dan seats, you can coach the team tonight. Why not? I don't want to say what I was going. Until they get serious about how they're going to go about this and figure out how they want to build this team, there's no reason to hire a coach. The crazy thing is, and this is more my age and our age, a couple of the coaches that they've interviewed and talked to, I know personally. I've had drinks with. I'm like, really, Jordy? I used to hang out with him when he was coaching the Canton team. So, God bless. Who knows what will happen? I've heard everything from West Unsold Jr. Bickerstaff, and you're right. Until you know who you're going to draft, I mean, isn't that an issue that they had when LeBron came back?
They sure did.
Like, you know, and so it's no point in naming one. I get it, but it just seems odd, all the names that keep getting thrown out there.
All right, true or false? Next Tuesday's lottery is the biggest day in Cleveland sports until the Browns open the season on September 8th.
False.
Okay, I say true.
I know you do. That's why you asked. That's exactly why I did it. I mean, do you think? All right. I've already said on the podcast, and I'm standing by it. Zion's coming to Cleveland.
Well, I hope so too.
How many wins did they have last year? I don't have it in front of me.
I don't have it in front of me either. In the low 20s? Let me look.
Is Zion worth 20 more wins?
No, he's worth 20 more million times 20.
That's why, to me, it's not the most important day. Because you just hit on it perfectly.
They were 19 and 63.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah. So, they win 39 if they just put him on what you're saying is absolutely correct. But I want to do – I'm about championships now. I want to win playoff games and championships.
Okay, but there's no way they could win a championship next year, right?
No, not at all. But if you can win 39, 40 games, and you just made my point. I'm not asking for a championship next year. I'm asking, can we win 20 more games?
Well, let me ask you.
And I don't think.
Well, the reason I ask that is this: isn't on the road to a championship, isn't a 26 or 27 win season a necessary step?
Yeah, it would be if I trusted the people that were running the team. And no offense to Kobe, he's done what he's been told to do. I guess I got to see them be successful and get to a playoff game without LeBron, Ramon, James.
I totally agree, but I think regardless of the coach you hire, the ping pong ball that pops, and the way that the June-July period goes, I'm not sure you're winning a playoff game next year either way. So therefore,
no.
I'm not saying. I think it's just, and I'm not saying you're wrong either. I think it's too early. I think it's way too early to say that 39 or 29 or 21 is a measure of a successful season because we don't know what it'll look like.
Right, for sure. And that's for sure. I agree. I guess what I'm saying, I have a trust factor issue with that whole organization because all I've ever seen them win with over the last 12, 14, 15 years is when LeBron has been here. Until, we've seen them now multiple times without LeBron. This time last year, they're telling us they were going to. And look, I have no problem if they took Ja. I don't have to take Duke's finals. I can take Morant and be fine. I just don't know over the long haul. I don't trust them yet. I want to trust them. I don't. And until we get to that point, and I was talking to Jason Lloyd, your guy from The Athletic yesterday, and I told him, whether it was on our podcast or just in general, when they let the weirdest guy in the world right now currently, Kyrie Irving, go, I've just been down on everything they've done because you just don't let that type of talent and that type of genius mastermind go. I mean, how about his answering his question last night where they were like, well, you only had 22 shots. And he goes, I should have took 30. For as much of an asshole thing that was to say, it was awesome.
That's right. No, that's right.
I mean, because he really let you in on how he truly thinks, and he really should.
I not to argue with anything you just said. I just want to clarify. I don't think the lack of trust comes just from that. I think it comes from something you jokingly alluded to about 3 minutes ago. It's that until we know that Dan's not really running it, how are we supposed to trust anything, right? And I'm not sure we're going to know that. Okay? Look, every team, this is the reality of this lottery. Every team, if they win number one, they're taking Zion, right? He's just he had that season. He's that unique of a talent. You don't worry too much about projecting what his fit may be or what you have. You work around him. You market the shit out of him. You're back, right?
Right. You already said it. The main thing you already said, you get him, you make $20 more. Your franchise is worth $100 million more dollars.
The decision lies in, and specifically for the Cavs who took supposedly a point guard last year, if you land at number 2, right? And then the more complicated is if you land at number 4 or below, because obviously we know this is a 3 big name draft. We saw it in glimpses from RJ Barrett this season. specifically later in the season when more than just me and Lima were watching college basketball. Right. Last year at this time, R.J. Barrett would have been projected by everybody who watches these guys closely as the number 1 pick. So that's where it starts. And then, Dre, it even spitballs into, okay, what if you got the 2, 3, or 4 and some team made you an offer to come get their guy, right? That included, something that could speed along your process, right. Get you more flexible. Because we know the Cavs are intriguing. Look, I didn't watch much this year. I didn't miss much, okay? We know they were up. I think all things considered, after the terrible start where it was clear the organization had no plan, even though they shouldn't have been blindsided by they fired Ty Lue. They weren't sure what they were going to do. They were selling lies. Kevin Love missed most of the year, all of these things. There were some moments where the kid played well. There were some things done where the front office took charge and said, okay, these guys in no way are going to help us 2-3 years from now. We're going to make some minor trades, pick up some extra picks, get a chance to look at some young players. They did, I thought, what you needed to do in their spot, which is clearly a difficult spot to be in, right? Nobody wants to be 19 and 63, even if it's part of the bigger process. And the process is a little bit of a toxic word based on some of the things that have gone on in Philly, but and based on years of Browns coaches selling you on that bullshit line, right? That's what it is. When you go from winning the East 4 years in a row and being an organization run by one guy, and then that guy's gone, and you turn it over to let the wacko owner make these picks, like it's scary as shit, right? But I think everybody would agree that the fact is that Colin had some ups and downs, specifically some ups, played in the games, that Larry Nance developed, that guys got to play, that guys who weren't going to be here got moved away. There were some positive things have gone on, and then this would be a big summer, regardless of which ping pong ball bounces or doesn't bounce their way next Tuesday. This would be a big summer in terms of taking that next step. Probably not that step into what you said, which is winning a playoff game without number 23, but certainly a step along that path.
Yes. I think the main thing I want to see is them just look like a comparable NBA team without LeBron having to carry them. And you're right. I don't plan on seeing them win a playoff series, maybe even compete in a playoff game. They don't even have to make the playoffs. Just as I said, find a way to win 39, 40 games. Just be a team that competes every night. That's a 500 team. They have to get to that point under Dan Gilbert without LeBron for me to say, okay, this is a normal organization that can compete with everyone else. And I'm going to feel wholeheartedly that way until I see it. You're right. I mean, the number 1 pick. Here's the other thing I thought of when you were talking about the ping pong balls next week or whatever they call them now. It's like 4 of the 5 teams, if they get the number 1 pick, we're all going to say it was loaded, right? The Knicks get it, we're all going to say, oh, it was frozen. If we get it, the whole country's going to bitch that Cleveland's got the number 1 pick like 3 times in the last 15 years. Seriously, just go through all the different teams that can get it. There's not going to be. Is there going to be one team that could win it that everybody will be happy for? Like, I doubt it. Like, Zion's whole life. Well, how would you want your life to be basically? Because I just saw a video of Zion on Twitter, so it must be real. Throwing a football on some beach. Imagine being him, and your whole life is going to come down to some ping. Where you're going to be for the next 7 years of your life, probably,
right.
All coming down to some ping pong. Isn't that amazing? It
is. It is. But this is a big event. Let's not run from it. You know.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We know the NBA's specialty is off court happenings, and this is a big one. And they air it before a playoff game, and all of that stuff. But let's be honest, it's gotten real good. The Raptors and Bucks should be real good. Houston, Golden State's gotten real good. The champs look vulnerable. By the time you listen to this, they might go out tonight and win by 25. We'll see. But nobody's looking forward to Denver or Portland versus Golden State in the West, right? Everybody's.
Did I say this in the last podcast? They're the perfect matchup, and neither one of them got a chance to win against the next team. I don't think.
Yeah.
Denver, though, I think both Denver and Portland. Portland is weird.
I got one request.
Denver has a chance. What do you got?
I got one request. I want Portland to win tomorrow night or Friday, whenever Game 6 is, because I want to see Dame Lillard in a Game 7.
Oh, yeah. I'm with that.
That's my one request. What happens. I'm very much looking forward to Kawhi versus Giannis. I think that would be awesome. I've thought that all along. I'll watch the finals when they roll around because I'm a basketball junkie. Because they're usually on at 9:00 in a time of year when I'm not going to bed at 9:15 in early June.
Right.
So it doesn't need to be the Cavs. It's certainly been a different experience, not scheduling things around watching the Cavs and LeBron in the playoffs this year.
I know.
I haven't stayed up for the late ones. Obviously, last Friday and Saturday I did, but during the week I just haven't been. Last night I was in bed before Denver-Portland started. Checked the score this morning. But,
one of the best games I've ever seen.
Yeah, but that's my one request for however this goes is that I hope Portland wins Game 6 because I definitely want to see Dame in a Game 7.
I hear you. Our boy Springer though is all over Twitter today, absolutely killing Dame Lillard and his shooting percentages. Like I said, Portland. I think Denver is on its way. Like they may be able to win a game against Golden State or Houston, considering those two teams are going to beat the shit out of each other before they go on to the Western Conference Finals. I like what Denver's being built as, is what I will say. Are they perfect? Do they have a chance to go to the finals this year? No. But I like where they're going if Jamal Murray can be more consistent, which I'm sure we're going to be saying for a long time in his career. Yeah. And the Joker is there's something about the Joker. If you don't like watching the Joker, you don't like the game.
No, he's a special cat in an era where there aren't a lot of true centers, especially ones multi-talented like that. He's a great passer. He can step out and shoot it. And you're right, Murray's a guy that is a volume shooter, so he needs to get those. But yeah, I mean, they've dabbled in free agency and everything else, but they've drafted those guys. They've developed those guys. Yep. They've a lot of their role players are their own guys that have come through minor league basketball or the G League or second round picks. They're a fun story. Is it probably a sweep, Golden State? It's probably 5, right?
Probably, yeah, somewhere in there for sure. But you know what? Like I said, they still are on a great. I like where they've started and where they're going, though. You know what I mean? Like. And as you said, they've drafted most of those guys. I like Mike Malone a ton as a coach. And I think he's sold them on the right bill of goods. I think sometimes when you see these up-and-coming teams, I feel like they've been lied to by their coaches and their GM. Well, Mike Malone is very upfront of what steps they need to take and where they need to go. And we see so many teams lose track of the process, right? How many times do you see a team – Philadelphia. He said this about Philadelphia last week. And I'm still not sure what Philadelphia is and what they're trying to do a week later. They're embarrassed. Like if Embiid is really sick, he's sick, and that's fine, and I get that. But I feel like they rushed the process a little bit, and look how patient they had been for so long, and it still worked out for them. Hell, they're in the second round of the playoffs. It's a big step for them, but I'm still a little curious as to. Was going out and making all the trades they made, was it worth it? I don't know their cap situation. I don't know who's coming and going over the next few years, so I can't answer all of that. But I am a little weary of how they've kind of changed who they are, and all of a sudden it seems like they still don't know who they are. Well, like Simmons is a really good player in 82 games. He's not a good playoff player. Yeah. Like in the playoffs, especially on the road, he's invincible.
Well, let me ask you this bigger picture onto what you just said. Like, okay, Boston. We know Hayward had the crazy injury, came back, had a shitty year. Was he working his way back? Does he not fit? Kyrie's Kyrie. I think only Brad Stevens and a few people know, what really the day-to-day dynamic of that is. Al Horford's always been good enough to be not just a guy, but he's, does anybody think he'll ever play in the finals? No. Does anybody take him on any list of top 25 players in the league? No, right? So,
right.
But the goal there is to accumulate as much talent, right? And Danny Ainge has done that.
Yes.
Right? Credit Toronto. They saw what wasn't good enough because of LeBron every year. They had a chance to make they traded a franchise icon to go get Kawhi. Nobody knew where Kawhi's head was. Nobody knew where Kawhi's health was. They went and did it. You got to go for it. So I think, isn't that the thing, though, Dre? You just, again, we don't know the day-to-day dynamics in Philly, and we don't know if Ben Simmons will ever be able to put the ball in the hoop, which would keep him from, obviously that's a requirement of being an NBA player. But, at some point, you look around and you just say, well, if we go get the best players, we have a chance to win. And I just think, and look, and I hope like hell that Tobias Harris is the only Lakers free agent the Lakers can sign next year, because that'd be funny.
They probably will. That would be funny.
But like, so you can certainly sit here and nitpick, but like the goal has to be to get the best players, and then kind of in this time of year, the chips fall where they fall.
Makes sense to me. Yeah, you're right. You got to gather the talent, and then hope that the talent meshes. And if it doesn't, you keep pushing and keep trying to find how to make the talent work. I like the Philadelphia's moves, but I watch them though; they just look stale. You know what I mean? And Milwaukee's playing without their second best player, and they're well on their way to embarrassing the Celtics. Who knows what'll happen tonight? But I can't believe it. I didn't think. Remember when this all started, I was like, I just don't see Milwaukee going to Boston and winning. What the Greek Freak has done and become is amazing. What's truly amazing is 2 or 3 of your best players aren't even Americans anymore. Like during these playoffs, obviously you have all the guys with the Warriors, but it's been kind of fun to see the international feel of the game kind of take over. You see that in Milwaukee, you see that in Denver, and you would see that in Portland if their guy hadn't been hurt.
I mean, some of the moments of the playoff. I know Kawhi's been incredible, but some of the moments of the playoffs have been Milwaukee's got a 3-on-1 or a 3-on-2, and all of a sudden Giannis is just around everybody dunking on the last guy, right? Like in a flash.
That's unbelievable.
And it's like,
yes.
It's like, what exactly am I watching here? Is this human? Like, it's not. All right, guys, we're running out of time. Facebook.com/A to Z podcast, A to Z podcast.com. Seeing the Honeymoon Grill, which is the new one's opening next week, and American Fireworks, our friends at AmericanFireworks.com. Those are our sponsors, at Dre Knott and at Akron Jackson on all your favorite social media platforms. You got any final thoughts here, Dre?
Yes. Thank you for not having a baseball minute today.
Well, there's only so much you can talk about, right? And
yes, yeah.
And one of these days, like this is baseball, one of these days they'll score 12 runs. The problem is the next week they won't score 12. But there's only so much you can say. I mean, I'm not going to dwell on it. I don't give a shit. I just don't. Sorry. I don't know how that comes across on your iPhone or your speakers or wherever you're listening, but I don't. I truly don't. I'm into the NBA playoffs. I enjoyed, even though it was mostly for negative reasons, I enjoyed the Kentucky Derby getting the national spotlight that it did. Look, guys.
That was some weird
shit.
This
is my thought. Like, this is the sports culture, right? Like, I think because we have a 24/7 argument platform, and I've never seen anything like this Game of Thrones thing, where this platform just takes over and when people use it, and all of a sudden, like, it's like everybody in the world watches this thing, okay? Like,
right.
I'm college basketball year-round. I'm college basketball in the NFL year-round. One is my job. One is just what I love, what a lot of my friends and family are in, all of these things, okay? I'm fully understanding and comfortable that college basketball gets the window into your worlds for 1 month a year, the month of March. Sometimes it bleeds into April. Sometimes it starts in later February when football ends and more games are on TV. And like, especially this year with Zion, like the Duke ratings were incredible and people knew and people watched, and that was that. Like horse racing, is what it is. They get this 6-week window. Specifically, it's the one day and Saturday, the first Saturday in May. With all the dropouts and all of this stuff. Like, that's just kind of what it is. So we have these fights and these arguments. I mean, it really makes you appreciate, Drew, how the NBA has grown over the last decade and what the NFL has done, that they dominate these windows.
No doubt.
And to get really back to your baseball thought, 162. It's too damn many. We've been saying that.
Yes.
It's too many for it to really matter. Guys, let's revisit where the Indians are on June 15th and July 1st. In the meantime, if I want to go to a game, I should be able to get tickets.
Yes, absolutely. Konnichiwa, maximum security.
All right. Shit's got to go. We'll see you.
Later.